Well, this afternoon, government's proposed electronic transaction levy continues to suffer major opposition as the main opposition National Democratic Congress today staged a protest asking the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, to abort the imposition of the 1.75 levy. Dubbed Yentua demonstration, the demonstrators marched through the principal streets of Accra. JoyNews has been speaking to some of them.
No matter on your Juma, and the beginning say, I bet one. I mean, a judge for yes, Lena, some in another say, I am a jack, Miss Sakufado, me put a book from me planet show on sister, no use I didn't from here on toilet. What's the matter? Me the adroya boa. Me and I'm a Twabamano, me Twabama Kufuado, me Twaman to say the Oyano. My babu ebu, my broso, a man say, "Oh, be coming to me, can be." I tell them, "Who you make us see?" And yes, Sena, a judge for a new channel. The other man there, I know you're the man. And to me, Seno, me go to the good form. Oh my, the Oyano, on some Kakrama. Yes, Sena. What's your Akuada morning? And going. Yes, Rano. Tony, they are panicha. One time you Jemaya. You never need a panicha. You got the funny, you bless so fast. You so safer. They say so far, you me go council. You panicha. Only you never need free on my head. The Atuaba man, you done a year. Only I'm about the former year bread. You panicha.
First year panicha. First year people are Talia. When I'm a neighbor, you intimation. And it is a be our big country and a young year to a man. Once it's a kind.
Well, the General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, Johnson Asiedu Nkita himself, has been speaking on this. He says that Ghana is in a big economic crisis.
The problem is that the government is not credible. So what the people are saying is that this government has been playing monkey business with Ghanaians for more than 5 years now. That is the point. It's not about what they are saying. So you don't cite what liars tell you. You don't rely on what people who are not trustworthy will be communicating to you. So the problem is that there is no trust. There is a trust deficit between the citizens and the government. And so that is why it will not serve any purpose to now be arguing based on what liars are telling you. They cannot handle monies. And they have proven so far that they have messed us up. You took an economy which was rated at B+. You came down to B, came down to B-. You are now at C. So how can you tell us that we are on the right path? So you are now coming to tell us what will be a panacea for our economic problem. We are deep in an economic mess, and the word of government cannot be relied upon any longer. And so we are urging government that the business of running the country is the business of every Ghanaian. The business of building an economy which we intend handing over to the youth must concern the youth themselves. That is why the youth is coming up to say that, look, stay here. All the loans that you are acquiring, you are bringing monies that should be available to the youth in future forward for your own consumption. And you are not leaving any property. You are not engaged in any investment with which the youth will be repaying the monies when they grow old. So that is the message we are sending them. So we are on the wrong path. We are in a deep mess, and we cannot borrow ourselves out of a debt situation, and we cannot dig ourselves out of a trench.
Well, so this was recorded earlier where the General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress raised some concerns with the government. But as we speak, we can now bring you the latest on what's happening as far as the controversial electronic transactions levy is concerned. As we speak now, government is holding a town hall meeting up north in Tamale, and we can just bring you excerpts of what's happening now. You see on your screens there live shot of Hawa Kumson, who's addressing the gathering there. We'll be going back to Tamale to bring you a live coverage of what it is that the finance minister would have to say in response to the increasing concerns that have been meeting the controversial electronic transactions levy. But joining us now on phone is the national youth organizer of the National Democratic Congress, George Opariado. He led the demonstration today. Good afternoon to you, sir. Welcome to The Pulse. So you have submitted your petition to Parliament, making a number of demands. Can we know what is contained exactly in the document that you've presented to Parliament today?
Good afternoon to those of
George Opariado, if you could hear me, I'm asking about the exact demands you've placed in the petition that you've sent to Parliament.
Yeah, what I'm saying is our petition to Parliament first reminded Parliament of the role they have to play as legislators, and then the supervisory role they have over the executive. So we're reminding them that they should play that role, and remember that it's the people of this country that took them into that chamber. The people of Ghana are saying that they cannot pay the E-Levy, and they don't want an imposition of the E-Levy on any Ghanaian. So we're asking Parliament to reject the bill. We're also asking Parliament to see to it that the impasse between UTAC and government is resolved, because a lot of students joined in this demonstration. We're also asking Parliament that all government officials that have been cited for corruption in the Auditor General's reports that led to the leakage of the 12.8 billion that Ghana has been losing since 2018. Parliament should look into it and make sure all officials are certified. But most importantly, we are asking Parliament to reject the E-Levy, and we hope Parliament will listen and listen good.
Even as we speak, government is holding another town hall meeting up north in Tamale. This forms part of the series of engagements government is undertaking to expand education on the tax measure. Is it the case that the NDC is not convinced about the explanations and the justifications we're hearing from government on this matter?
Today's demonstration was not done by the NDC alone. It was led by the Coalition of Concerned Ghanaians. What the NDC and now the Coalition of Concerned Ghanaians are saying is that as it stands now, the E-Levy cannot be imposed on Ghanaians because we don't know what kind of tax the E-Levy is. You cannot classify it as an income tax, neither can you classify it as a property tax or a value-added tax, not even an excise tax. Taxes have certain principles that must be adhered to. If I am paid salary at the end of the month and then I decide to save my money on my electronic wallet, I'm going to be charged 1.75% if I choose to move the money electronically onto another platform. That is unacceptable. What that simply means is that my capital is going to be affected, and government intends or government is seeking to tax capital. If government is broke, there are other alternatives that government could resort to. We keep telling her that in 2008, 2009, when we came into office and the economy was in distress, what we did was we introduced a stabilization levy. We taxed the profits of financial institutions and breweries before tax, and we used that money to stabilize the economy.
George, if you're still with me and if you can hear me.
For this government.
Right. Right.
That opportunity is still available for government if they want to exploit it. But as it stands now, we cannot accept the E-Levy in any form, size, or shape. They can continue to waste their time engaging in the town halls, but I can assure them that the good people of this country will resist the E-Levy with all the strength and might we can gather.
I'll shortly find out from you how long you intend to go in pressing home your demands. But are you not discouraged by the fact that we've seen countless demonstrations against and protests, even online, against this piece of legislation or proposed bill, and yet government is not revising its position on the matter? They are determined, and it appears that government would want to pass this revenue measure.
If this government is anything to go by, the numbers that poured out into the streets of Accra today should be a wake-up call to this government. What we say is that the voice of the people is the voice of the Lord. This government should listen. This government should listen because we will resist the E-Levy with every strength we have in us. The E-Levy is not going to pass today, neither is it going to pass tomorrow. The good news is that the minority leader today reassured us, that he reassured the nation that on the side of the minority, all 137 members of parliament will resist the E-Levy in any form, size, or shape. They can choose to reduce it to 0.01. We will still resist it. It is an obnoxious tax. It is regressive and retrogressive, and it is not progressive, and we cannot allow it to be imposed on any Ghanaian.
At least we know that government has withdrawn the bill from consideration level in Parliament. They are indicating that they may bring that at an appropriate time. Why don't we keep our fingers crossed, hoping that government may listen to your concerns and possibly revise or outrightly drop the bill?
So let's hope government drops it, but there is nothing wrong with exercising our democratic rights. That is exactly what we did today. And it's to register our displeasure and tell this government that we do not accept the E-Levy in any form, size, or shape.
With the rate at which the NDC appears to be taking its opposition against the E-Levy too, there are concerns that there are some political motives in this. You're not mindful of the fact that government says it is in a tight fiscal corner, the fact that it has no option but to go ahead, try and raise some funds internally to support the economy. Is the NDC not mindful of the economy?
That cannot be accurate because we've proposed alternatives as to how they can raise revenue internally. We've asked them to look at the extractive industry. They should really look at financial institutions, the telcos. $500 million was traded on e-transactions, including mobile money, in the last 1 year. There is nothing wrong taxing the profits of telcos to fill that loophole that they've created or dig for themselves. The extractive industry is a big industry they need to look at. We export over $1 billion worth of gold. How much money accrues to us? They should fix the oil and gas industry. It is their making. That is where a lot of the big players in the industry are leaving the shores of Ghana. If they resolve some of these issues, I can confidently tell you that they can find enough money to run the economy. And most importantly, we must cut down the waste on the government sides. A government with over 1,600 presidential staffers. When you come and tell me that you are broke, so I should give you more money, I'm not going to give you because most of the people there are virtually doing nothing.
Right.
So cut down government expenditure, cut down the size of government, reduce the budget to the presidency, and let the president himself cut down his ostentatious lifestyle. And then we can save a lot of money. When the president travels with over 40-car convoy, I don't know what you expect. And you expect me to fund your lifestyle? Hell no. We don't intend to do that. We are not going to do that with the E-Levy.
Fortunately, Daniel Ochema-Boaji, who's a former member of the Finance Committee in Parliament, has also joined us. And George, as we speak, the Finance Minister as well is delivering his speech at the Government Town Hall meeting in Tamale. We'll be bringing that to you very shortly. But let me welcome Daniel Ochema-Boaji as well. You've listened to George Opariado explain why the NDC has issues with the E-Levy. What's your response to him?
Well, let me say good afternoon to you and say that the opposition always oppose, regardless of whether it makes sense or it doesn't. That's exactly what they are doing. Government has made all justifications to explain why we need to get a cushion within the country because of high cost of borrowing, expensive borrowing, maybe the debt is going up, the need for us to develop the country and all that. All the justifications have been made. I agree with my friend to the extent that government expenditure has to be efficient, not necessarily to cut it. In terms of recession, you don't